Marvel writers love a protagonist origin story in which they go from juvenile offenders to straightened superheroes, and Ben Grimm is no different. The Thing, number 1, 1983, shows that Ben was born into a poor family on Yancey Street on Manhattan's Lower East Side. To provide for the family, his older brother Daniel became involved with a local gang called Yancey Street Gang. Sadly, Daniel was soon killed by a member of a rival gang when Ben was only 8. This was a turning point for a young Ben, who idolized his older brother and decided to follow in his footsteps. At 18 years old, he had taken Daniel's place as the leader of the Yancey Street Gang. But another turning point came when his parents died. Ben was taken in by his aunt and uncle, who helped him see that a new life was possible for him. He eventually left the Yancey Street Gang, which made him an enemy to his old allies. Starting high school, he found some purpose when he became a star football player, as shown in Fantastic Four number 15, 1963. Ben then went to college when he met Reed Richards, and later formed the Fantastic Four. But his past in the gang continued to follow him for many years. Since early Fantastic Four comics, the Yancey Street Gang makes appearances as mysterious antagonists. They are avid haters of the Thing and the Fantastic Four by extension. Members of the Yancey Street Gang are probably the only ones capable of hating the Thing. He's one of the most beloved characters within the superhero community in Marvel Comics. Apart from the villains, Ben gets along with most other characters. The Thing knows essentially everyone, especially in the New York area, and has been hosting a heroes poker event for decades. He started the floating superhero poker game, which first happened at the Avengers Mansion in 1979, as shown in Marvel 2-in-1, number 51, 1979. The first floating superhero poker game included Wonder Man and Ms. Marvel of the Avengers and the Beast of the X-Men, Nick Fury, New York District Attorney Blake Tower, and the Avengers butler Jarvis also joined in. However, the game was cut short when the SHIELD helicarrier was attacked. The second floating superhero poker game, chronologically, was between The Thing, Nick Fury, Captain America, Iron Man, and Giant Man, seen in a flashback during the Civil War event in Fantastic Four, Action 542, 2007. There were many other editions of the floating superhero poker game over the decades, and Ben even played alongside Gambit against members of the old Yancey Street Gang once in A+X number 6, 2013. Beyond his Fantastic Four family and superhero friends, Ben has also built a family for himself with Alicia Masters. Alicia is the biological daughter of Jacob and Marcia Rice. Jacob's co-worker was Philip Masters, who grew to resent Jacob's happy family life and professional success. One day, Jacob caught Philip trying to sabotage their factory. Philip pushed Jacob into radioactive clay, causing a massive explosion. Jacob died, but Philip survived. Marcia and Alicia were right outside. Marcia was not injured, but Alicia became blind due to the explosion, as shown in Marvel Team-Up number 6, 1972. Philip then married Alicia's mother, Marcia, who soon died and left her under Philip's care. Alicia and Ben first met when the Fantastic Four fought against Philip Masters in Fantastic Four number 8, 1962, and we'll explain the villain's relationship with Ben in a moment. After her stepfather's apparent death, Alicia became friends with the Fantastic Four, and Ben in particular in Fantastic Four number 9, 1962. The relationship helped Ben a lot with his self-image struggles. Being blind, Alicia had no expression of shock when talking to The Thing, but even once she had touched him, she showed him she really accepts him for who he is. Alicia and Ben began to actually date in Fantastic Four number 12 from 1962. They broke up and got back together a few times over the decades, and Ben had other love interests, but Alicia always felt like Ben's one true love. In 2018, they had been linked for decades and were longtime partners when they finally got married in Fantastic Four Volume 6, number 5, 2018. Fans who haven't read the first Fantastic Four comics may think she's a more recent love interest, but she's actually Ben's first one. As of 2025, they remain happily married. Alicia continues to be portrayed as a supportive and stabilizing presence in Ben's life, and their relationship is one of the most enduring in Marvel Comics. So as we've mentioned, Ben married Alicia. She's the stepdaughter of Philip Masters, a supervillain also known as the Puppet Master. Ben Grimm's relationship with the Puppet Master is one of the most complex in Fantastic Four comics because of Alicia. Of course, the Puppet Master deeply resents the hero's relationship with his stepdaughter. When he comes back from his apparent death, one of his his defining traits becomes trying to sabotage Alicia and Ben's relationship, beginning in Fantastic Four, number 14, 1963. Depending on who wrote each run of comics, the Puppet Master is portrayed at different levels of insanity. In the 2022 series, he is still a manipulative villain, but his concern about Alicia's well-being is portrayed with more nuance. For example, this influences Ben and Philip's relationship, which is always complicated for Ben, but has evolved over time and taken many forms. One of the funniest moments between them was when Ben visited the Puppet Master in prison to ask for his blessing to marry Alicia in the Fantastic Four Wedding Special 2018. Much to Ben's surprise, the villain was very accepting. The villain later explained it away as Alicia manipulating him, but fans know deep down that the Puppet Master is desperate for love and would do anything for his family, even though it's all in his own twisted way. Other than his marriage to Alicia, another important change in Ben's life in Fantastic Four comics was when the couple adopted 2 alien children. The Empire event is about the long and endless conflict between the Kree and the Skrull. This is when Ben meets Joven and Enkala in Empire, Fantastic Four number 0, 2020. Joven is a young Kree boy, genetically enhanced to be a super soldier. He was raised to be the greatest Kree soldier, trained for war since birth. Despite this, he's only a boy, and quickly bonds with Ben and Alicia. Enkala is a Skrull girl with a similar upbringing. She's strong, combative, but deeply loyal to her new family. They were rescued by the Fantastic Four from a gladiator ring where children were pitted against each other for entertainment. Seeing they had nowhere to go after being freed, Ben and Alicia decided to adopt the 2 children and raise them as their own. Ben Grimm has died and been resurrected more than once. It's Marvel Comics, so this part shouldn't come as a surprise. But there was one story in particular that put Ben where almost no hero has been, face to face with the universe's greatest god, the one above all. In the Unthinkable arc, Reed Richards is desperate to stop Dr. Doom, so he creates a device that allows him to think like the villain. After Doom is defeated, Reed keeps using the invention and begins making increasingly dangerous decisions to protect his family. One of the consequences of this intense battle against Doom is the death of Ben Grimm, which is the climax of the authoritative action arc in Fantastic Four number 508, 2003. Reed is forced by Doom into killing his own best friend in the final moments, which makes Reed promise himself and the family that he would find a way to bring Ben back to life. And this is how the Hereafter event begins, when the Fantastic Four travel all the way to heaven to find Ben. They meet God, portrayed in the image of Jack Kirby, the real-life co-creator of the Fantastic Four, and God allows them to leave with a resurrected Ben in Fantastic Four number 511, 2004. Jack Kirby's image has been used to depict God in other stories as well. Recently, in 2022, the back of Defenders Beyond number 5 confirmed that God in this issue is the one above all, and the location he is in when the Fantastic Four rescue Ben Grimm is the House of Ideas. Not that many mortal characters have had the honor of meeting the one above all like the Fantastic Four, and while resurrection is a pretty common event in the Marvel Universe, not everyone gets a favor like that from the most powerful cosmic being of all the multiverse. Yet, there are even stranger facts about the Thing than dying and coming back to life. One thing the Fantastic Four have done a lot, and always brings funny developments, is time traveling. But time travel stories can get pretty complicated, and the result is that some are amazing, while others leave us wondering why. One of the highlights of the early days is Fantastic Four number 5 from 1962, which takes the superhero family back to the era of pirates. In this issue, the Fantastic Four are sent back in time to the early 18th century by Dr. Doom as part of a scheme to retrieve the mystical treasure of Blackbeard. Ben is mistaken for Blackbeard due to his imposing, rocky appearance and his pirate disguise. Embracing the role, Ben leads a group of pirates and experiences a sense of acceptance and admiration that he rarely feels in his own time. It becomes clear that the stories about Blackbeard they know in their time are accounts of what Ben is doing as Blackbeard. And believe it or not, Ben Grimm, being the iconic pirate, is considered Marvel canon. Ben's time as Blackbeard has been referenced in various Marvel stories over the decades, but usually only fans who have read the infamous issue number 5 from 1962 can fully get the joke.
This car?
Now, in preparation for the introduction of the Fantastic Four into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there is one key fact about the Thing that could tell us what will be the direction of Ebon Moss-Backrack's character. In the 1984 crossover event Secret Wars Marvel Superheroes, Secret Wars number 1 to 12, the first one with that name in Marvel Comics, Battleworld is a planet created by the cosmic entity known as the Beyonder. It's pieced together from fragments of other worlds. In parallel to the conflicts taking place at Battleworld, something positive positive happens to Ben Grimm. He discovers he can revert to human form at will while on that planet. In Secret Wars number 12, after the war is over and most heroes return to Earth, Ben chooses to stay behind on Battleworld to explore this mystery and live in peace with his own form. The others go home, and the Fantastic Four continues without him for a time. She-Hulk temporarily replaces him, as she has been an on and off member throughout their history. The Thing Comics continues Ben's adventures on Battleworld after Secret Wars with The Thing number 11, 1984. Eventually, Ben returns to Earth in The Thing number 22, but his time on Battleworld deeply changes him. It allows him to see how he valued being near his family more than his own self-image, and it eased his deep longing to be accepted, at least a little bit. With the MCU likely adapting the Secret Wars storyline and possibly Battleworld, it will be interesting to see if the Thing's storyline is included. The focus on the Thing's appearance and the challenges it brings him has been a through line throughout the cinematic adaptations of Ben Grimm. Ben's struggles could also tie in nicely with the addition of mutants to the MCU, as he encounters more people with similar struggles to his own, and he may encounter more heroes who help him come to terms with the trauma of the cosmic rays and their changes to him.
Do you want to be Ben Grimm again?
As you can probably already tell, the mutation of Ben's body is something that causes most of his inner conflicts. Seeing how much this matters to his best friend, finding a way to revert the Thing's form back to how it was before becomes one of Reed Richards' concerns. And although he is a genius, some breakthroughs only come accidentally. Reed once accidentally made Ben return to full human form in Fantastic Four number 326 from 1989 after exposure to one of Reed's cosmic ray machines. But that was temporary, and he would soon be the Thing again. Decades later, a new way was found to solve Ben's issue. The Future Foundation, a group of genius children under the guidance of the Fantastic Four, created a serum that would allow the Thing to transform back into his human form for 1 week each year in Fantastic Four number 584, 2010. After years of failed attempts, Ben finally found a way to have some normalcy in his life, even if only for a week every year. Interestingly, it's later revealed that now, Ben only ages during that one human week. This means that his time as the Thing is effectively slowing his aging, making him not just physically stronger, but somewhat frozen in time the rest of the year. In consequence, Ben is not immortal, but will have his lifespan increased by many, many years. We know that Ben once even chose to live alone on a planet far away just because he could look human there. So it's heartwarming to see that he finally found a way to enjoy his human form on Earth. It's also a major win that the serum gives him new advantages to his powers other than just being able to fight. But this back and forth between the monster and the man is not the only change in design that the character has had in Marvel Comics. The coolest design change was perhaps in 2020, when Marvel gave us the Grimm Noir. In Fantastic Four, Grimm Noir, Ben Grimm becomes a haunted film noir anti-hero. It's not reality, but a twisted dreamscape shaped by his own inner conflicts. The story takes him back to Yancey Street, where he's forced to confront his past. Ben is called back to his old neighborhood after a man is found dead in the alley outside his childhood building. The investigation draws him into a surreal journey where he's stalked by a supernatural creature called Despair, a vampiric entity that feeds on despair, targeting people who carry trauma and grief. Ben is pulled into a dream world shaped by his own pain. There, Ben becomes a trench coat wearing private detective chasing down a mysterious ancient villain. Unlike other Fantastic Four villains, Despair seems to only exist within this surreal world attached to Ben. In between haunting flashbacks, Ben admits the deepest truth of his trauma. He says things like, "Ben Grimm went to space, but he never really came back." A line that encapsulates how the accident in space that turned him into the Thing didn't just change his body, but fractured his identity forever. The Grimm Noir story has been arguably the deepest exploration of Ben's psyche in Marvel Comics so far. It's also visually stunning, bringing a pulp fiction style that is rarely seen in the context of superheroes. It's part psychological horror, part film noir detective fiction, and part character study. It's a standalone one-shot that does not exactly connect to the main Fantastic Four series. The only point of Grimm Noir is the deep dive into the character, which makes it an issue that could be skipped, but any fan of the Thing absolutely must read.
Oh yeah, man. A few days in space. It'll be great.
And these were 10 facts about Ben Grimm most fans don't know. Did you already know any of these? What did you learn about the thing in the video? Let us know your favorite thing about Ben Grimm in the comments. We would also love to know what are your expectations for the character now that he will join the MCU. Until next time, thanks for watching CBR.